Don't let the haters bring you down. Just keep going. Keep chasing your passions and dreams no matter what. Do not let negative people get between you and your goals.
Connie thinking like, this is my domain. They were just being bratty, I think.
You're a twin.
I am.
Do you think twins are more bratty because it's kind of a cute little thing that they're twins and they look alike and blah, blah, blah?
I think it's more of a sign of just bad parenting.
The FBI is reportedly investigating Diddy's 18-year-old twin daughters, Jessie and D'Lila Combs, as more than grieving daughters caught in the middle of their father's downfall. According to the allegations now being discussed, investigators are looking at whether they may have helped hide evidence after his arrest. Sit with that for a moment. These are the same two young women who stood in a federal courtroom crying, telling a judge that their father was still their dad, and making a lot of people feel real sympathy for what they seemed to be losing. Now, those same daughters are reportedly part of an active federal criminal investigation, so all that public sympathy may have been happening at the same time investigators believe a trail was being covered. And the FBI does not appear to be treating this like a soft family issue. They are moving with no announced conclusion, no public promise of immunity, and no guarantee that the twins walk away without charges. So the question now sits right in the middle of the story. Were they grieving, or were they helping manage evidence?
You don't think people take selfies on a roller coaster?
They ask you to put away, you put away, and then once you start it, you just pull it back out to film.
So everybody knows you're going to violate it, but you can't violate it in front of the person knowing that you're going to violate it later.
To understand why this is getting so much attention, you have to look at the timeline. That is where things start to get messy. Diddy was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison on October 3rd, 2025. That date matters. His daughter spoke at that hearing. Jessie said, quote, "He is still our dad, and we still need him present in our lives." D'Lila talked about their younger sister being confused, about the absence of their mother, Kim Porter, and about the pain of feeling like they were losing a parent all over again. Those statements landed exactly how you would expect. The press described the moment as heartbreaking. The public saw it as a family clinging to whatever was left of something human. But now the FBI is reportedly looking back at those same words from a very different angle. Not only as pleas for mercy, but as something that may have been happening while evidence was allegedly being hidden somewhere else. When you put that possibility next to the courtroom footage, those moments feel different. They do not sit as neatly as grief anymore. They start to feel like a scene playing out in front of an audience that had no idea what might have been happening off camera. Now go back a few months before the sentencing, because the twins were visible long before that final hearing. They were also at the New York City courthouse during closing arguments in June, and photographers caught them leaving with what one outlet described as an anxious and defeated look. One of them wiped away a tear. That image spread fast. It became part of how people remembered the trial, the innocent daughters, devastated, stuck in the fallout from their father's crimes. But this new investigation changes how that image is being read. If investigators believe the twins may have helped hide evidence after Diddy's arrest, then those tears do not play as simply a private family moment caught by cameras. They become part of a public image being shaped inside the same building where the case was being decided, and the difference between what people saw in public and what investigators may suspect was happening privately is not some tiny misunderstanding. It is a huge gap. Every sympathetic headline from the last several months now has a much darker possibility sitting beside it.
We're told before the ride they were told 3 times to put their phones away, but the twins defied the rules.
Why do you have to put down a phone on a roller coaster?
Because if you ride it and you drop it, it could hit someone.
That alone would make the situation uncomfortable. But then you look at where the twins went after sentencing, and the whole thing becomes even harder to explain. About 2 weeks after their father was sentenced to 50 months in federal prison, Jessie and D'Lila Combs appeared at Kylie Jenner's pop-up event in West Hollywood, matching pink tracksuits, pink sneakers, hoop earrings, long waves, posing for Getty images like nothing around them had really changed. Their father was in federal custody. They had just sat through a trial that exposed some of the worst allegations against him. And within days, they were at a celebrity cosmetics event in coordinated outfits, holding pink balloons, smiling for photographers, moving through the room like the family crisis was just background noise. You do not need a badge to understand why people find that timing strange. On its own, it is a normal celebrity photo of 2 young women at a brand event. But when you place it next to reports that the FBI is actively looking at whether they helped hide evidence, that same photo starts to feel a lot less harmless. And it did not end with one event. The twins later walked a runway at AVALON Hollywood for a fashion show, wearing matching purple dresses and circling each other on stage while their siblings watched from the crowd. Christian Combs was there holding his little sister Love. Quincy Brown appeared on the red carpet in dark shades. The family showed up together, posed together, and gave the cameras the kind of united front that keeps a public brand alive when the person at the center of it is behind bars. That is why investigators are probably paying attention to the weeks between the sentencing and those public appearances. What happened during that window? Who was talking to whom? Who had access to what? Because this reported investigation into alleged concealment did not appear out of nowhere after the photos were taken. It was developing while the twins were attending events, walking runways, posting support for their father, and trying to keep their public image moving. The strange part is not just that a federal investigation and a celebrity pop-up were happening close together. It is that nobody around them seemed to think those optics could become a problem.
2 months? 4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year. He gets some time. He gets 15% credit. So he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
So, and then he gets another 15% of the remaining.
Yeah.
He's out in 2 years.
Yeah.
Should have stuck with the original guest.
I know, yeah.
So let's talk about what the FBI is reportedly looking at, because the public appearances are only one part of the pressure. The deeper issue is what the twins may have known and what they may have done before and after the arrest. Diddy was taken into federal custody on September 16, 2024, after being indicted on charges that included racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in commercial activities. But the warning signs came earlier. His homes in Los Angeles and Miami had already been raided by the Department of Homeland Security in March of 2024. His sons Justin and Christian were detained during those searches. So the family knew federal scrutiny was real months before the arrest. They were not blindsided overnight. They had time. And if investigators now believe evidence was hidden after the arrest, the obvious follow-up becomes, who helped, who knew, and who was close enough to move things before federal agents found them? The twins were living inside their father's world. They were not distant relatives who only appeared at holidays. They were there, in the house, around the raids, after the raids, and later, in court, giving tearful statements when the whole country was watching. The story also reaches beyond just the twins. Christian Combs, their older brother, was detained during the DHS raids, and he is currently facing an ongoing lawsuit from a woman who alleges he assaulted her on a yacht chartered by Diddy in late 2022. Justin Combs was also detained during the raids. Quincy, the eldest, has publicly supported his father through the trial and sentencing, appearing in court and speaking for the family. Federal investigators usually do not pull on one thread and ignore everything attached to it. Once they start looking at possible evidence concealment, they are going to ask who else had access, who else had motive, and who else may have helped. So if the twins are under scrutiny for allegedly helping hide evidence, the next question is whether anyone else inside the Combs household was part of the same effort. Publicly, the family presented itself as unified. Investigators may now be trying to find out what that unity looks like when every person has to answer for themselves. This is also where the story starts to feel especially unstable, because the twins have been careful with their image. They seem to understand when to appear, what to wear, what to say, and when to stop talking. After the documentary dropped, their social media accounts were flooded with harassment. They disabled comments. They went quiet. A lot of people took that as them retreating from the pressure. But there is another way to look at it. If you are two young women who think federal investigators may be watching every move you make, and at the same time you are being hit by an online mob, fighting back publicly may be the worst possible move. The smarter move would be to save everything, timestamp everything, and let the record build on its own. Federal investigators like paper trails. They like screenshots. They like repeated behavior that can be shown clearly in court. So the silence that looked like fear from the outside may have looked very different to lawyers or investigators reviewing the evidence.
Here, the data shows a wide variety of sentences. Weighing all the relevant factors, the court determines that the sentence is 50 months of incarceration.
50.
4 years.
4 years.
5-0.
4 years, 2 months.
2 months.
Yep.
Wow.
50 months.
Then there's the money, even though the details are still not fully clear. On November 15, 2025, just weeks after Diddy's sentencing, a $2 million transfer reportedly hit the twins' newly formed fashion brand account. Officially, it was startup capital for a business. But there have been whispers that the money may have been meant for more than clothes and marketing, legal fees, private investigators, resources for a longer fight that goes well beyond public relations. To be clear, that part is speculation. No one has produced a financial document proving what the money was actually used for. But the timing is what makes people look twice. $2 million lands in an account tied to two 18-year-olds whose father is in federal prison, whose family is under federal scrutiny, and who are reportedly being investigated for allegedly helping hide evidence. If it was legitimate business funding, that is one thing. But if investigators believe it served another purpose, they are almost certainly tracing where it came from and where it went. The biggest unresolved question is the one that decides where this whole story goes next. Will the twins be indicted as accomplices, or will they be cleared? Right now, nobody can honestly say. Not the public, not the press. Maybe not even Jessie and D'Lila themselves. The FBI investigation is reportedly active. No charges have been filed against them. No one has been publicly identified as a target beyond what has been reported. But the pressure is not going away just because the twins keep attending events and matching outfits. Every appearance is now being watched differently. Every old courtroom tear is being re-examined. Every piece of public support for their father now carries a different weight. And the gap between the story people thought they understood and the story federal investigators may be building is still getting wider.
The court reaches few conclusions. 135 months would be more than necessary. A sentence over 11 years is not reasonable. Even the probation department recommends a sentence less than half of that, but 14 months time served would not be sufficient. A judge says
So, this is where things stand. Two 18-year-old daughters. A reported federal investigation that has shifted their public image from grieving victims to alleged possible accomplices, a father serving time in federal prison, a family that presented itself as united while federal agents may have already been sorting through who said what, who moved where, and who knew more than they admitted. The attention is no longer only on Jessie and D'Lila. The whole Combs family is being viewed under a harsher light now, where every statement, every public appearance, every matching outfit, every carefully staged show of unity can be saved, reviewed, and brought back later with tougher questions attached. The FBI is still trying to answer the central question. Were they simply grieving daughters, or did they play an active role in a cover-up? Until that answer comes, the pressure around this family is only going to keep building. But the more you look at this family's recent history, the harder it gets to chalk all of this up to bad timing. Start with the raids, because that is where a lot of what came after starts to make more sense. On March 25, 2024, the Department of Homeland Security searched Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Federal agents detained his sons Justin and Christian during those searches. They were not arrested, but they were held while investigators went through the properties. That is a serious moment for any family. Federal agents are inside your homes, your sons are being detained, and everyone there understands this is no longer gossip or rumor. And for the twins, that matters because they were there. They lived in those homes. They saw what happened. They watched their brothers get detained. After that, there were months before Diddy's arrest, months where the family had time to wonder what the government had found, what it still wanted, and what investigators might come looking for next. According to what the FBI reportedly suspects, that stretch of time may not have been quiet. They believe evidence may have been hidden, and the twins were close enough to the house and close enough to the family to have been part of those conversations if they happened.
Yeah, this is a real issue. And I think Diddy's lawyers are right when you're talking about somebody who's not, supposed to not be able to be accessed in this way.
And that's super scary. If he, in fact, woke up with a knife to his throat, that's friggin' terrifying.
Now look at what Christian has been dealing with separately, because the legal pressure around this family does not start and stop with Diddy. Christian Combs is currently defending himself in an active assault lawsuit filed by a woman who alleges he assaulted her on a yacht chartered by Diddy in late 2022. The case is still ongoing. It has not been dismissed. It has not been settled. And the accuser's lawyer used a phrase that stuck to this family immediately. Like father, like son. That was not said as a throwaway line. It was meant to draw a connection between the father's alleged pattern of behavior and what the son is accused of doing. The twins are close with Christian. They have walked runways with him. They have posed on red carpets with him. They have shown the world a united family front over and over again. But if the FBI is already looking at whether the twins helped hide evidence, it is hard to imagine investigators would not also look at whether Christian had any role in the same alleged concealment. And if Christian is already fighting a civil lawsuit, even the possibility of federal obstruction exposure on top of that would put him in a much more serious position. This is where the pressure inside the family starts to feel dangerous, because federal prosecutors have ways to make people talk long before a case ever reaches trial. Cooperation agreements are a normal part of federal cases. The first person to cooperate usually has the most leverage. The next person gets less. In public, the twins have looked completely united. Joint statements, matching outfits, court appearances together. Their whole public image has been built around moving as a pair. But imagine one of them sitting across from a federal agent and being told, "We already have enough to make this difficult for you. Your sister will have to make her own decision, but you can make yours right now." That is not some movie scene. Family members cooperate against each other in federal cases all the time. The real issue is whether either twin would hesitate under that kind of pressure. And once you consider that possibility, every public appearance they have made together starts to feel a little more fragile than it looked at the time.
Are you concerned that Sean Diddy Combs could be assaulted, violently assaulted? Is that a thing? Because based on what was said in court, it feels like a thing.
Then there's the money, because large transfers with unclear explanations tend to get federal attention very quickly. On November 15, 2025, just weeks after Diddy's sentencing, a $2 million transfer reportedly hit the bank account of the twins' newly formed fashion brand. Officially, that money was startup capital. 2 young entrepreneurs launching a business. On paper, that sounds clean enough. The problem is the context. The twins are 18 years old. They had just graduated from high school. They had very little time to build a brand, line up investors, or create the kind of paper trail that usually comes with a 7-figure funding round. So the obvious question is where the money came from. Industry whispers have been saying for weeks that it may not have been only for fabric samples, marketing shoots, and brand development. The talk is that it may have been a war chest. Legal fees, private investigators, money for a fight that goes well beyond public relations. That has not been proven. It may never be proven in a way that holds up in court. But the FBI does not need a courtroom-ready answer just to start asking questions. They need a trail. And $2 million moving into an account tied to 2 teenagers whose father is in federal prison is the kind of trail investigators are going to follow. So this is where we are. A federal investigation. A family under scrutiny. $2 million being questioned. A pending appeal that could reshape the legal ground. And 2 18-year-old twins who have been careful with their image but who cannot control what investigators find if they keep digging. So what do you think is really happening here? Were Jessie and D'Lila performing grief while evidence was allegedly being hidden out of view? Or are they being pulled into a federal case mainly because of their father's name? Drop your take in the comments. This story is still moving, and every new detail changes how people read what came before. Stay sharp.